Everyone, welcome to our March 16th Board of Education meeting. I'm saying afternoon, it's evening, so good evening. We have our school board member who's a student that's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Jackson, can you do that honor for us? So it's been a busy last 2 days. I'm going to ask my colleagues to help me out here if I fumble or mumble a little bit too much. So I'll start off by welcoming those who are here for the purposes of addressing the board at the proper time and in the order of their request. If you wish to speak during the meeting, please fill out a form. Leticia, thank you. Got the forms up here, indicating your name and the agenda item you wish to address. You may also make a request to give testimony on an item not listed for today for discussion today. However, full discussion on any items not listed on the agenda will have to be delayed until such a time as the item can be publicly posted in advance as a regular agenda item. If you wish to ask questions, please address them to the chair and not to any individual members of the board or staff. The board has been meeting in closed session regarding matters listed on today's closed session agenda and wishes to report that no reportable actions were taken. So today we have no public hearing. So we will move on to call for agenda items for separate action, adoption of the agenda as posted. And before we do that, we do have some proposed changes. So let me read here so I get the legalese correct, Mr. North. The district listed a board community visioning update on our agenda for this morning's workshop. We had robust discussions this morning and did not want to shortchange this item, so pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.3B3, we have moved that item to tonight's agenda under Section 20.1 Unfinished Business, 20.1. So I'll entertain a motion to adopt as revised.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, for the first time in a long time, I get to call an open vote here, not a roll call vote. So all those in favor of adopting the agenda as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No opposed, so our updated agenda passes 5-0. Approval of minutes.
Move approval?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And I will abstain from this vote because I did not. Oh, this is for the previous meeting. I'm sorry about that. So let's do a rewind. I told you I was going to fumble something tonight. So let's do. Let me call for the question again. Let's start from the beginning. Do we have a motion?
Motion, so moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Now, all those in favor vote aye. Aye. Any opposed? No opposed. So that passes 5-0. It's going to be fun tonight, Brent. But this is the best part of the night here. Introduction of our school board, student school board member, Jackson Hogue from Sato. The name says it all, Jackson. You got a big responsibility to live up to that awesome Jackson Hogue. Why don't you give us your school board member report tonight?
All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here this evening. Dr. Baker, the board members, executive staff, and my parents. So first of all, I'm Jackson Hogue. I'm a freshman at Sato, and I've decided on the engineering pathway. I'm a member of my school's robotics team and a student ambassador. So first of all, let's talk about the events at Sato. So this past weekend, OC Fairgrounds hosted the OC Regional for FIRST Robotics. A total of 46 teams competed, ranging from local teams to teams from Mexico and Turkey. The game we had to design our robot for is called Rapid React. It was an exciting event and a learning experience for all who attended. I know a team from Poly attended as well. In 2.5 weeks, the LA Regional will be happening. Moving on, at the end of the month, the HOSA Leadership Conference will be hosted at the Long Beach Convention Center. Our finalist biomedical students will compete with their skills against other talented teams. This state-level event provides a great opportunity for our students to collaborate and grow as future healthcare professionals. Continuing to projects. So at SATO, each grade level has an overarching project where they combine their knowledge from their classes to make a product or complete a task. A few months ago, we rolled out our survival integrated project to our freshmen. The goal of this project is to design a product to help someone survive in an extreme environment. This is the first time doing this topic due to the pandemic. Some examples of projects I've personally heard from other students are a survival helmet, water filters, and a firewood drying mechanism. All of these projects will be displayed during our open house. Continuing, we have our Make Able project. So, an introduction to engineering design, we've been working on our Make Able project. The goal of this project is to design assistive technology for people with disabilities. SATO is partnering with Tucker to help achieve this goal. My team has been working to design a mouth pointer for a student with cerebral palsy to interact with an iPad. Now, last but not least, and one of my personal favorite projects, our freshmen have been working diligently on their inquiry project in English. The topic was to show how words can make change in society. There was a wide range of topics ranging from men's mental health to beauty standards, the grading scale, and immigration reform. We had a lot of variety. Personally, my topic was on how I think the education system is outdated. So I'll give a brief gist of my topic. We are no longer a society that needs to mass produce workers for an assembly line. Instead, we need to produce leaders and innovators. To accomplish this, we need more student-driven learning. We need more time to talk, collaborate, explore, and learn together on topics of our interest. All of these events and projects I mentioned earlier, like the Make Able project, the HOSA Leadership Conference, all those projects and events are perfect examples of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackson. And I have a feeling that one of your biggest fans in the audience here is going to show this video to a lot of people. Who's in the audience with you tonight, Jackson?
I have my mom and my dad.
Yeah, awesome. Let's give a big up to the parents.
And my principal.
Oh, and
your principal.
Yeah.
Yes, big
Don't
ups
forget
to
her.
principals. So, Jackson, you said you're in the 9th grade, but you strike me as a student that probably has a good idea of what you want to do after high school. Have you thought about what you want to do after high school? I'm sure you have. Don't lie, Jackson.
Yeah. I mean, there's like 3 main fields of engineering I want to go into. I want to go into mechanical and electrical, and I want to dabble with software a little. So I think that's where I want to take my career choices to.
Awesome. And share a little bit more with us about this antiquated school system that we have.
Oh.
That we can do more of.
Well, in my project, let me just think real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. On the spot here, Jackson.
Yeah.
1 million viewers worldwide.
Yeah.
Plus whoever your mom's going to share this video. How do we fix our school system?
So for my project, I looked at examples abroad. So I looked at specifically Finland because they're 99% national literacy rate. 90% of their population is college graduates, and they're consistently placing top 3 globally for education. What they're doing is they're doing data-driven curriculum, which means they're taking data from tests that they're getting from students and adjusting the curriculum to match the students best. A lot of big philanthropists, including Bill Gates, are backing this to happen in the US. Other things that they're doing is, I know that it kind of sounds weird for me to say it, but they're doing less homework. And the benefit of this is that it allows students to more closely engage in their extracurriculars and have more time to go home and research and learn about their own personal topics. So I think it gives students a lot more to learn when they want it from their own heart instead.
Awesome. And right on the spot, on cue. Great job, Jackson. Thank you for that. And I think you have some supporters around here on the Less Homework. Colleagues, any other questions, since Jackson seems to do well on the cuff, here off the cuff?
Oh, well, I first can't stop smiling because you are clearly one of the gems in the school district here. Because of a number of things. One, you're clearly a very smart young man, but he's also a hawk. We went to Stanford, right? My guy, right? We're holding it down. I was curious about the survival project. Can you give me a little bit more information on that?
What would you like to know?
Well, so here goes the thing. So this is not to be too vulgar here, but there's a show on Discovery.
Remember, this is a live broadcast.
This is a live broadcast, right? But there's a show. Have you ever seen the show Naked and Afraid?
Yes.
It's awesome. But the part that's cool is that these young men and young women that are on there, they're using their best survival tactics, and they get one piece of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like your campus is kind of designing some of those types of things, right?
Yeah, that's actually exactly what we're kind of trying to do.
Well, I would market it to the show and see how, see if they don't pick it up, man. Well, anyway, it sounds really, really cool. Sounds like the campus is doing some really cool stuff. So, good thumbs up to the principal there, and thumbs up to you as well.
It sounds like you have some stock in the show or something.
Dude, it is one of my guilty pleasures. I really feel like that I could survive. It's 21 days. I think I could do it, man. I really do. I'm not going to do it, but I think I could.
All right, not to deviate from our agenda tonight, but any other thoughts or comments or questions for Mr. Hogue? Thank you, Mr. Hogue. I'm sure your fans out there want to do a little bit of celebrating tonight to have you in here. So thank you again for joining us, and congratulations.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Take care, man.
Next item, communications. We have none tonight. And so we'll move on to recognitions and acknowledgments, student, staff, and school celebrations. We're going to see something from Juliet at Renaissance tonight. So whenever you're ready, Mr. Itzen.
My name is Juliet Guerrero. I'm in 10th grade and I go to Renaissance. Because it's a small school, you make more connections with each other and everyone's very expressive here. I wanted to be an engineer, so I thought Stage Check was a good place to be. And ever since then, I wanted to do stage manager, so I've always been a stage manager. We wear a headset and we call cues for sound, light, curtains, and we're in charge of keeping everything set for the show and rehearsals. And we're in charge of the actors and make sure everything goes according to plan. I love the responsibility that I have for everyone in the crew. I plan to go to community college and then a university. I want to take something about managing because I like that, and something with science as well, and engineering. That's probably something I'll take on.
Very cool. Stage manager, scientist, engineer, all in one. Thank you for that. So we'll move on to public testimony on items listed on the agenda. I didn't receive any, Leticia. We don't have it for tonight. Thank you. And so that will take us to public testimony on items not listed on the agenda. Mr. Suarez, why don't we begin? I think I recognize that gentleman from somewhere, maybe in education.
I'm going to give him some instruction.
Okay,
This side is a
please.
little different. So, my
Please.
instructions, please introduce yourself, and you have 3 minutes on the timer.
All right. Just a reminder, sir, you have 3 minutes on tonight's public testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board, and I will follow the rules. But it hasn't started yet, so it needs to start. So it's my privilege and honor to be here. So I want to talk about two things. First of all, I want to thank all of you for what you've been doing for our children for the last 2 years plus. There was no playbook for this pandemic. It's 2 years ago this month that we closed our schools down. I left, 4 months later, and you folks have really carried the water and done quite well. You're never going to please everybody, but you've done what this district does really, really well, and you focused on every student every day. And so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I have 4 grandchildren who will soon be in the Long Beach Unified School District. So, and I know sometimes people don't say thank you enough, and we need to do that. I'm telling people across the nation, give yourself some grace, and everything will be okay. Kids are resilient. But I'm here to share another thank you, because I did something I would never do. I wrote a book with a gentleman by the name of Jay Westover, who wrote a book called Districts on the Move. And this one's about schools on the move, and 5 of our schools are highlighted in this book. So it's Edison, Holmes, Jefferson, Milliken, and Signal Hill. And this book was, I was able to write this book because of all of you, because this district is the epitome of what a governance team needs to be, plus the tens of thousands of employees who have, for decades, work on closing equity gaps and opportunity gaps. So now, this book, we were blessed. Michael Fullen wrote the foreword, Pedro Noguero and John Hattie wrote endorsements with about 20 other national leaders in education. And I have a copy that Letitia will give you at the end of the meeting. There's one for all of you, but I just want to say this is the gift that you've given the world. So thank you so much, and keep up the good job. And it's 1 minute and 22 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Steinhauser, and congratulations on the book. Yeah. Big responsibility.
I want to ask you to introduce yourself, and you have 3 minutes on the timer.
Good evening, welcome.
Hi, good evening, LBUSD board members and executive staff. I am Enrique Chavez, the unit AVP. I'm here on non-agenda, which is negotiations. Board members, I'm just here to relay the message that the employee members have been telling us is gas is extremely high, groceries are extremely high, and if you want to live in Long Beach, it's near impossible now to find a studio for under $1,800. Something to keep in mind is the 7% that we've been asking for is nothing compared to what the teachers make, because again, a lot of our employees, and you know this, they get paid minimum wage. Again, something to bring up to your attention is we're asking for that 7% because our members don't make that much money. Your recreation aides, this is a really interesting topic amongst all the classified members. They have 1 hour contracts. They don't have 3.8, they have 1 hour contracts. The corporate world doesn't even do that. So LBUSD seems to be looking more like a corporation than a school district. Again, we were essential employees since March of 2020. We all showed up to work when the teachers got to work from home, and we appreciate our colleagues. And just to let you guys know, it's happening all over the states. Classified employees are not getting the proper raises that they deserve. And something to keep in mind is, I don't know if you guys have been seeing the news recently, but in Pittsburgh, the teachers union and the classified union both combined, and they did a work stoppage. So, hey, our TAL representatives are out there supporting us here, and we're supporting them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Change it to 3 minutes on the timer.
Good evening, welcome. Can you hold 1 minute just so we can reset the clock, please?
Yeah, I just wanted to see how the microphone was.
Yeah, no, just great.
Okay.
I just wanted to reset the clock for you.
Can they stop talking while I'm up here for 3 minutes? Guess that's a no.
Okay, we're ready.
Ready? Okay. Hi, I'm Elisa. Currently in the U.S., approximately 2/3 or 70% kindergarten children attend full-day classes. Across California, those numbers are even higher, with nearly 3/4 or 75% of the state's elementary schools already offering full-day kindergarten and 74% in LA. What about in Long Beach? 11 out of 43, or only about 1/4 of elementary schools, have a full-day K option. So the question is, why is Long Beach significantly lagging behind the city and the state? I'll address with a personal anecdote. My name is Elisa, and I'm a parent, an educator for the past 20 years, and a social justice advocate. My family and I moved here from New York City, where there has been full-day pre-K and K for many years. When my oldest daughter turned 4, we were excited to send her to Longfellow. I couldn't understand why other parents weren't opting for Longfellow, and quickly learned that the parents that could afford to do so sent their kids to private or parochial schools because they wanted a full-day curriculum. They also don't want to deal with the awkward handoff to a second school or aftercare program. The end result of not having a full-day option is a further separation between the haves and the have-nots. Those that can do and those that have no other options go into the wrap programs. I would argue that the part-time K furthers the divide and is not aligned with the purpose of public school, which is to avoid the segregation of communities, the segregation of our children. The current research reflects this trend that I have personally witnessed in Long Beach. According to the UC Berkeley Early Childhood Think Tank, in a 2019 report, of the schools in California that offer part-day programs are primarily in middle-class or affluent communities. Why? Because those families have more options: a stay-at-home mom, a nanny, sending their kids to private schools. Does that meet the needs of our Long Beach family communities? I have privilege. We sent my oldest daughter to Longfellow because I'm a staunch believer in public school education, and then put her in an after-school program that costs us $500 a month. We are a privileged and blessed family, and even though times are tight, we will get by. What about others that do not have options? Do we want Long Beach to be a place that equitably supports all families? So why is Long Beach lagging behind? Maybe the more important question is, how do we make this happen? How can we make this a positive transition for students and teachers and give teachers the support they need to make this happen? The socio-emotional development and education of our children is a priority. The reliance on after-school programs is widening the gap and only further separating our children. As a parent, I often tell my children, no excuses, just do the right thing. And I will conclude with the same message today. Let's do the right thing for the children of Long Beach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Make sure this is okay for you and you have 3 minutes. Just make sure you introduce yourself like they don't know you. Yeah, I know.
Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Viola May Bledsoe. I'm an instructional aide with the district, and I'm here to talk about workload. As an instructional aide in special ed, it is my duty to take care of special ed students. Some of these students are in wheelchairs, some of them are ambulatory, some of them have severe medical issues, some of them don't. Some of them have cognitive issues to where they are, even though they are in high school, they may be actually at a second or third year age level. When you are in a classroom with 17 students, you might have one, sometimes two wheelchairs, and you have some other students who are considered runners where at the minute notice, if they're not nailed down to something, will bolt out of the classroom and you have to go after them. When you are the only aide, or there is only 2 aides in a classroom in a situation like that, this is wearing us out. I work at Cabrillo. At Cabrillo, we are short at least 9 to 10 positions. The positions we have, most of them are 3.8 hours. It is hard to handle this amount of children with this amount of work. I myself am the only aide in an MM classroom, mild to moderate, not a severe classroom. And at the most, I have 16 children in a classroom. But I keep getting pulled out because there are not enough aides in the MS classrooms to handle the workload, leaving my MM students with no aide for days on end. Right now, out of the 36 to 38 students all day long that are in the English or the history class of the teacher that I work with, half of them are failing because I'm not in that classroom to supply support for them to do their work, because I am getting pulled out to work with the MS students. And this is not just happening at Cabrillo, this is happening all over. And the problem is there's still not enough aides with the MS classes, and I have heard from aides in other schools how their runners end up getting lost. They're looking for hours for a student that they can't find. We are having students actually figuring out how to jump the fences at Cabrillo. We've had 3 special ed students over the last 2 months get away from the classroom and climb the fence and leave campus. We have got to have more staff, and 3.8 hour staff doesn't cut it. We need to have 6-hour aides.
Thank you.
So that we can have
Your 3
eyes
minutes
on
are
the
up, Viola.
children.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.
Do you need some help?
It's got caught with my bracelet.
I'm gonna adjust this for you. Okay. Please introduce yourself, and you have 3 minutes on the timer.
Okay.
Good evening. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Wong, and I'm an instructional aide for the district since 2000. And I earned my college degree at Cal State Long Beach. I'm asking the Board of Education and executive member to reconsider about the health benefits that the part-timers have to pay for their out-of-pocket. I'm only 6 hours and working 10 months. I've been trying to apply for a position as intermediate office assistant, and I was elected this past May for a Zoom interview. Unfortunately, they were not able to offer me a position because they said the department of another employee got closed, and I was the only candidate that got interviewed, respond to their department, EPHS. It's very sad that I earned my degree and I can't even get a full-time position with this school district. And I'm part of this community for over 20 years. I moved out here for work and school, and the principals and teachers in the past, or even the current teachers, have written letter of recommendation and to some of the board members here to reconsider the health benefits for our part-timers, our 6 hours and 5 hours. Yeah, for the cost of living, I can barely just live on my own. I was fortunate that I purchased a place on my own, like a small place. But right now, everything's gone up, and even our health benefits has gone up. I recently was diagnosed with some kind of illness that I need to stay on with the PPO. I can't go on the HMO because they would not perform this surgery for me. And I'm just asking the Board of Education to reconsider and the Executive Board to reconsider. I have written letters to all of you last May 14, 2021, for Jill Baker, Tiffany Brown, David Zaid, Jay Camillo, Brian Moskovitz, Christy Carr, Christopher Brown, Aaron Simon, Stephen Ruckenbott, and Christopher Lung. Only the last 2 people responded to my emails. My colleagues, Sarai Powell and Patrick Estes, have written on my behalf to ask you, all of you, to reconsider not making us pay for the benefits.
Thank you. Your
Thank
3
you.
minutes are up. Thank you.
Sergio, how are you? Good to see you again. I'm doing well. So here you go. Please introduce yourself. 3 minutes on the timer.
Okay. I'm Sergio
Good evening.
Bonilla. Good
Welcome.
evening. I just wanted to go over briefly what has occurred with our negotiations. We've already been to impasse, and that was a failure. And so the next step, obviously, was a fact-finding. I think you guys know what happened in fact-finding, and I just wanted to tell you guys that we really do need that raise. And if you just pay attention to the evidence, you'll see that this is what we really need. I mean, I think I discussed with you before that compensation for the executive staff here in LBUSD between the years 2012 and 2020 has been $60 million. So with that said, giving you guys yourselves 14 and 16% raise, it's not right. I mean, we already spoke about the fact that you guys gave the a substitute 16% raise. Well, we need a living wage. I think we've discussed this before. We're going to be doing the reopener pretty soon. And so with that said, the governor has stated that we should be getting a COLA of 6.17. So anything under that 6.17, it is not going to be something that we're going to agree upon. We're just going to be running around in circles, because I mean we're not going to just say, okay, yeah, sure, whatever you guys want to give us. Like I told you, I think it was like 3 months ago, that's just not happening. We have a whole sidewalk full of CSEA members out there, television crews. We also have the TAL, and then we're all together and united because we want our raise. I mean, we already discussed the fact that you guys didn't give us hazard pay. LA Unified got 5.0% raise and a $2,500 one-time bonus for each person at LA Unified School District. Bellflower, same thing, 5%. So it's time to step up as a school district and pay us what we're worth. Okay, thank you so much for your time, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you could introduce yourself, and you have 3 minutes on the timer.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Chris Kelly. I'm the president of the Teachers Association of Long Beach, and I'm here in support of our bargaining teams because I understand we are getting close to some sort of agreement. I want to encourage you to keep our employees as priority. These times are tough. It's hard to buy a house in Long Beach, hard to live in Long Beach, and now with gas prices so high, it's hard to commute even. So I hope you will remember what our people have done and how hard they've worked and how reliable they've been, that they've showed up, and I hope you will come to a good decision. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to adjust the mic for you. Okay. And if you could introduce yourself first, and then we have 3 minutes on the timer.
Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Baker, and fellow district staff. My name is Peter Larson, and I'm a math teacher at Jordan High School in District 1, a resident of District 5, and also the vice president of the Teachers Association of Long Beach. As board members, it's your responsibility to set the priorities of the district. This is no small task considering Long Beach as its size as the state's 4th largest. According to a recent study conducted by the Learning Policy Institute, 80% of California school districts are impacted by teacher shortages with disproportionate impacts upon communities of color. This shortage is real, large, and will continue in the upcoming years. It is essential that Long Beach sets its priorities such that we have a competitive edge to recruit and retain highly qualified educators in an increasingly highly competitive job market. Educators need to feel valued, and they need to be able to maintain their standard of living. Many of our members are watching this meeting, either here at the district building or on the district's live stream. What we'd like to express to you tonight is that equity isn't only for some, it is for all. Our teachers, librarians, nurses, speech pathologists, and now counselors and psychologists expect the board to direct the district's administration to seek a fair and equitable bargaining agreement with the Teachers Association of Long Beach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please introduce yourself in your 3 minutes.
Okay.
Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jerry Morrison. I'm a teacher at Long Beach McBride High School, and I'm here representing the Teachers Association of Long Beach. And I want to talk just for a couple of minutes about the current pay negotiations. Since the boards last met, we have met the bargaining teams. Unfortunately, there was no progress made on salary, which, I'm sure you know, is the sticking point at the moment. The negotiating team for the districts had a chance to come back with an improved offer, and they didn't. It was pretty much the same as what it had been a couple of weeks before. And so there we are. In the meantime, also, of course, prices continue to go up, not down. All the reasons why we think we need a pay raise are still there, maybe even getting worse. Everyone knows that when they go shopping, not just when they get gas, which is maybe a temporary thing, but when you go into the supermarket, you pay the bills. Teachers expect a pay raise to keep up with inflation, and the district's offer is not going to do that. I happen to teach economics at McBride. I get to talk to my students quite a lot about inflation and the effects, and I could tell you most of my students would be able to explain the difference between nominal wages and real wages, and they'd be able to explain, as I'm sure you know, that if someone's wages go up less than the rate of inflation, they've taken a pay cut. And that's essentially where we are with the district's offer. It's thank you, we appreciate you, you're doing a great job, and now here's a pay cut for next year. We don't think that need be. I'm speaking as a teacher, but I know that the negotiations that go on with teachers often, usually, set the pace for the rest of the districts. Thousands of other people will benefit from a decent pay raise. Imagine the boost to morale in the districts if we come up with a decent offer. Not just teachers. I dare say some people even in this room would be grateful for a decent pay raise this year. So we hope we can reach a deal. We're not too far apart. You know, for a long time when I worked in this district, we used to talk about the Long Beach way. There was something different about working for Long Beach. I haven't heard that expression for a long time. Long Beach way didn't usually have TV cameras outside and demonstrations. We usually came to agreements fairly amicably. I hope we can do that again. We meet again in a week or so on the 24th. We don't think we're asking for the moon. We think the district can afford to increase its offer, and let's hope that's so when we meet on the 24th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please introduce yourself in 3 minutes on a timer.
Good evening. Welcome.
Perfect. Thank you all for having us here. My name is David Perzinski, owner of Long Beach Solar and Chief Strategy Officer of Instanon Energy. I'm here to support the Long Beach Green Schools program because it is the obligation of our school district to go green. I'll present 3 reasons: for the students, for the schools, and for Long Beach. For the students, when choosing the schools, our students and parents are looking for this kind of commitment. Other schools have already made and successfully marketed this kind of commitment. Also, each step taken to get closer to 100% renewable is a valuable learning opportunity to help get the students ready for the 21st century green energy jobs, those of which I am hiring for. For the school, if we make this commitment, it won't be that we are running into early adopter challenges. Others have already figured out this process and have streamlined it. It may seem daunting to figure all this out, but I firsthand have seen programs such as Energy as a Service take away the risk of committing to this green commitment. So what can be done? Have a credible and established company come in with the funding that will design, build, own, operate, and maintain the systems at a no CapEx cost to the district. And if you can't get enough energy, you can supplement with energy offsets and carbon credits. This no-risk approach ultimately will result in better OpEx cash flows, which will allow you to give more money to your employees. And then Long Beach, the city and universities are already going down this route, and it doesn't make sense not to be in sync with what they are already doing. More so, it's just a matter of time before all this is getting mandated anyways. Look at the CEC 2022 rules, look at Title 24, look at the electrification and AQMD rules for warehouses. Let's make the commitment before getting forced to do so. And know that when you do start doing this work, you create real local jobs that do make an impact for the community. Lastly, know that solar and batteries aren't the only solution. SoCalGas has recently announced a large pipeline of hydrogen called the Angeles Link that will potentially change the energy landscape in America. Let's position ourselves to be ready for this kind of change. So in conclusion, it is our obligation to build an environment which nurtures the development of our students to be ready for this quickly changing world. I know the commitment seems hard, but it is not anymore. And there's no need to wait. So thank you, David with Long Beach Solar. I appreciate your time and I support this idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to bring this down to height. If you'd introduce yourself, and we have 3 minutes.
Good evening. Welcome.
Hi, and thank you so much for having me. First of all, I just wanted to follow up on today's earlier discussions and just say thank you so much for having us today. We really did appreciate having the time to discuss, hearing your input, and just kind of to follow up, we really are excited to hear what your thoughts are on our resolution. I understand that this is not the place to discuss that, but, in the coming weeks, discussing, what language we can change to the resolution, because we are definitely interested in changing the resolution language, making it more suitable for our district. But beyond that, I just wanted to once again say thank you. Also acknowledge that I know we have been attending these board meetings regularly, and we will continue to do so. But we will try and cut back our speakers, because we really do understand that this is your time, and quite frankly, the people outside, it's their time as well. So we just kind of want to show you that we really do care about your opinions, and we will still be attending. And I know we have a couple more speakers today because they were planning on attending. But we do really want to show you that we are willing to work with you, and we really, really value your input. But beyond that, we have a couple of Green Schools campaign pins and some St. Patrick's Day pins that I'll leave with you if possible. Thank you. Sorry, that's like a... but yeah, thank you so much, and have a good rest of your day. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Diana.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you? I just have a big step down right there, right? Very good. I'm going to adjust the height for you. If you could introduce yourself, and you have 3 minutes on the
Okay.
Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, board members. Hi, how's everybody doing? My name's Stella Ursua. I'm the Programs and Partnership Manager at Grid Alternatives, Greater LA. Thank you so much for this time. I'm here on behalf of the Long Beach Green Schools campaign. Just a little context about the organization that I work for. We are a solar nonprofit organization that works to install solar systems in underserved communities. And here in Long Beach, we have installed approximately 260 systems for families that are in need of reducing their energy bills. For the entire organization, we've installed 2,375 systems. We've reduced 125,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions. And the reason I give you this context is this is how we met the students from the Green Schools campaign. They were just so engaging. They brought us in. We were so proud of what they were doing, and we wanted to support them. We appreciate that the district is committed to principles of equity, justice, and inclusion, and transitioning to 100% clean energy. We believe that these goals can help us advance or save general fund dollars that can be invested in under-resourced schools, help to address climate crisis, and help to fund communities that suffer the most impact from climate change. So we're here just to say we're so proud of these folks. We hope that you will invest in this opportunity. We know that there's funding out there for this type of effort. There's the Transformative Climate Communities Grant that has lots and lots of money right now. There's the CEC that has numerous grants that are coming down the pipeline. There's clean mobility grants. There's an ICLEI Action Fund grant. So I hope that we'll tap into these funds. I hope that we will help to make this a reality for 100% green schools and clean energy for all Long Beach schools. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Adjust this for you. If you could introduce yourself first, and then you've got 3 minutes on the time.
Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, board. Hello, my name is Kenny Allen. I am a Long Beach resident and a member of the Sunrise Movement, which is a youth-led movement to stop climate change while creating millions of good union jobs in the process. We're building an army of young people to make climate change an urgent priority across America, end the corrupting influence of fossil fuel executives on our politics, and elect leaders who stand up for the health and well-being of all people. I was born at 360 ppm. That's 360 parts per million of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The international scientific community has long been warning that nothing above 350 parts per million is safe. We are now above 412. The World Health Organization says that there are already 150,000 human deaths each year due to climatic changes. By 2030, they estimate another 250,000 human lives lost annually. I trust that, as educated adults, you are already well aware of the existential threat we face as a species today due to our inaction so far. I told you my birth date in parts per million to remind you that my generation is not responsible for creating this crisis, but we are the ones who will suffer the most from the current inaction. So many of my earliest memories involve green spaces and the pure joy that comes from feeling connected to our Mother Earth. I wish I had been older before I had learned about how much of our planet was being destroyed by human greed. My heart broke learning about the destruction of natural environments for profit. When I was about 5 years old, I organized my friends to create a lemonade stand whose profits could go towards adopting the manatees to try and save them. By the time I was in high school, scientists were saying that around 200 species a day were going extinct, and that if we didn't change course fast, the human species risked extinction too. I grieved. What else can you do? Sometimes not much, but it just wasn't in my personality to give up or hope someone else would come to save us. I'm older now, lucky enough to be college educated, and I know that there is a lot that we can do, that we must do. This crisis really requires every one of us to do everything we can. You all have an immense amount of power and an equal amount of responsibility. I know that you all want to do right by my generation and the next 7 generations. I'm here tonight to urge you to use your power to bring the Green Schools resolution to a vote and ensure that it passes as soon as possible. The cost of inaction is much, much higher than the cost to act. You have lots of experts, community members, and institutions willing to work with you to make this happen. And time is running out. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I think we have time for one more, and then I have a question for Mr. North. Could we hold, James? So, Brant, I see that we may have inadvertently put a public comment in the non-listed agenda items, but it does cite a agenda item from our board workshop. How should we handle that?
I think you have the discretion to consider that as a part of an item that was listed on the agenda.
Okay.
If that's what the board wants to do.
So I'd like to, because it is listing an agenda item from our board workshop, consider this an agenda item if my board colleagues are okay with that. But we do have one left from non-agenda items. So what we'll do is listen to the last non-agenda item, and then we'll invite this public comment in as an agenda item. It's Kim Tabari, and she's listing item 9.1, I believe, if I can make out her notes from board workshop. So she may have inadvertently filled out the wrong sheet.
I'll go outside and check that.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and lift this for you.
Thank you.
You have 3 minutes, and please introduce yourself.
Great, will do.
If it's a 9.
Go. Hi, I'm Katie Rowe. On January 20th of this year, I filed to put an item on the agenda for the February 2nd meeting. Topic: discussion of co-ed locker rooms for the planned high school pool facilities, including but not limited to report on noted code violations in the design, community input received to date, community outreach efforts or lack thereof, information on original approval of single-sex locker rooms, and approval of change to co-ed locker rooms and the lack of notice to community of the change, and discussion by the board. On January 31st, Dr. Baker denied my request with this email. Based on input we have received, we recognize there is an interest in expanding the engagement process to include additional opportunities for input and feedback. Because of our sincere desire to ensure our community is engaged and informed about large-scale projects, we have made the decision to pause the current development of plans for Wilson's locker room and review our community input process. Our facilities department will work with the district staff to create additional opportunities for community engagement in the future. In the 6 weeks since that letter was sent to me, unfortunately, the only outreach the board has done was to have one of its members, Deputy Superintendent Tiffany Brown, badmouth and slander concerned parents, teachers, student athletes, and community members to the LA Times on March 4th. Ms. Brown claims the opposition is connected to widespread anti-transgender rhetoric. It's not. She claims students have overwhelmingly supported the project. They don't. Fortunately, the mask mandate at schools has been lifted. So in the interest of responsible use of taxpayer monies and carefully listening to the community you serve, I ask that you hold open session meetings around town at each high school, where you can answer live questions and hear community commentary about this massive project. There are only 2 reasons to refuse this. 1, the more you keep this secret like you have been, the better chance you have of trying to slide it through under the radar. And 2, you well know that the community is strongly against this and you will have to answer to them. If you are under the impression that the furor over this has died down, you are grossly incorrect. It has multiplied. You have a legal obligation of transparency when spending taxpayer dollars, including Measure E money. You have a legal obligation to follow California building code. You have a legal obligation to protect your teachers and staff. And most importantly, you have a moral, legal, and ethical obligation to protect the safety of all of your students. Please do the right thing. No co-ed locker rooms in Long Beach Unified. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes our time for items not listed on the agenda, and so we can ask Ms. Kim Tabari to come in to speak on an item on the agenda.
Thank you. All right, it's saving the best for last.
Okay, there you go. Introduce yourself. You got 3.
Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, board members, staff, Dr. Brown, Dr. Baker, parents, and caregivers that are virtually watching. I am Kim Tabari, a parent of a high schooler in the district and community member to a village of young Black boys and girls. I'm providing testimony in some of the areas shared at yesterday's board meeting related to the Communications and Community Engagement Office. Myself and other parents, some of who are outside and couldn't make it in, were both disappointed and disconnected by many of the things we heard about the direction of the comms team. We felt like we were listening to an overview of Microsoft or some other corporation that needs a brand to identify itself. We get that branding is the hip new term, but it feels disconnected from parents, teachers, and students. What is the brand that expresses the academic loss, the emotional pain from the aftermath of the pandemic, that our Black and brown students failing as we move forward? Is the district doing great things? Yes, absolutely. You're all collaborating with the health center to get students COVID tests at home and making tests available for LBUSD families. You're in collaboration with the Safer LBUSD campaign to lift up conversations around safety after the ex-school safety officer killed an 18-year-old off campus. You're creating critical and engaging pedagogy that is culturally relevant to teachers and students. But we don't want from communications or more polished videos or marketing showing how great we are and giving impressions that we are a racially just and equitable organization. I was on a Zoom call yesterday hosted by CFJ and CSULB, and a few high school students were sharing traumatic experiences and begging that teachers just show care towards them. Just ask, how are we doing? It was heartbreaking. I could show you the text messages I get from Black students that experience bias from teachers, macroaggressions from staff. I never stand here with opinions. I'm offering facts shared with me by other members of the community. So as we come into this cycle, this spring cycle of budget engagement, I demand more engagement from the board, beyond thought exchange, from schools, from teachers, from students, and from parents. So I want to close with lifting up three things as you consider as we enter, as we continue to center students in our decision making: data, discourse, and destiny. Data, we have a lot of it. Keep using the data metrics to make things clearer and continue to educate our community and highlight racial disparities. Discourse, at the board meeting and across the city, we need to be more engaged in talking about students and families as we make recommendations to the budget with unique needs in mind, and focus in on needs and solutions for affinity groups like Black and Brown students. And destiny, create a sense of us in the city so we don't stay divided. Actively invest in Black and Brown youth, as well as foster youth, LGBTQI youth, special needs youth, and other marginalized youth. These are our children, and they demand a pedagogy of care.
Your 3 minutes are up. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Suarez. So we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is staff report. We have none tonight. And that takes us to business items. Certificated personnel report. Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Dr. Benitez. I present the following proposed actions prepared by Assistant Superintendent of Human Resource Services, approved and recommended by the Superintendent. For certificated personnel, appointments, we have 39. In-service changes, we have 1. Leaves of absence, we have 19. Release of temporary contract employees, we have 3. Resignations, we have 9. Retirements, we have 25. And amendments, we have 1. That's for certificated personnel.
Do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes 5-0. Next item, classified personnel report.
I present the following proposed actions prepared by the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resource Services, approved and recommended by the Superintendent. For classified and exempt personnel, appointments, we have 44. Leaves of absence, we have 14. Terminations, we have 4. Separations or deceased, we have 1. Resignations, we have 19. Retirements, we have 5. Amendments, we have 10. And rescissions, we have 1.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. How do you vote, Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 5-0. Instruction report.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That also passes 5-0. Next item, finance report A.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes 5-0. Finance report B.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Dr. Benitez, I recuse myself from participation in Finance Report B on the consent calendar. I have a potential financial interest under Government Code 1091 and 87100. My husband works for a subcontractor who has done work for the payees.
Thank you, Ms. Kerr. Any further discussion? I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes 4-0 with one abstention. Business Department report.
Move approval?
Second.
Any discussion? I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes 5-0. Purchasing and contracts.
Move approval.
Second?
Any discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes 5-0. We are on to other items and student discipline. Dr. Baker.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board. Tonight I have 3 recommendations for expulsion, and so I'll take them one at a time. Starting with student number 706, this student would be expelled under Education Codes 48900C and would not be eligible to apply for readmission until after January 2023. However, Student Placement Services has made the recommendation that this student be expelled with a consideration for a suspended expulsion with an opportunity to attend another school within LBUSD.
Move approval?
Second.
Any discussion? Excuse me. Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes 5-0. Thank you, Dr. Baker.
Second recommendation is for student number 770. The student would be expelled under Education Code 48915C2 and would not be eligible to apply for readmission until after January 2023. However, Student Placement Services has made the recommendation that the student be expelled with a consideration for suspended expulsion with an opportunity to attend another school within LBUSD.
Move approval.
Second?
Any discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That also passes 5-0.
Thank you. And lastly, student number 753. The student would be expelled under Education Code 48915C2 and would not be eligible to apply for readmission until after January 2023. However, Student Placement Services has made the recommendation that the student be expelled with a consideration for a suspended expulsion with an opportunity to attend another school within LBUSD.
Move approval?
Second.
Any discussion? I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That also passes 5-0. Unfinished business. I'm sorry, administrative assignment, Dr. Baker.
Thank you, Dr. Benitez. I have one recommendation for administrative assignments this evening. The promotion of Cindy Young, who is currently the director of the Child Development Centers, to the position of Senior Director, Early Childhood and Expanded Learning. This expands Ms. Young's role to not only oversee early childhood, but also the Expanded Learning Opportunities program that will be coming into the district with an additional $16 million grant associated with it.
Do we have a motion?
Second?
Any discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out for the things that you talked about, Dr. Baker, we held our workshop over the last 2 days, so those extended learning opportunities and new opportunities in early childhood, for someone looking for a quick go-to, you can go back and look for that at the workshop to get more details about the work that Ms. Young will be doing.
Or we could just ask Mr. Moskowitz to do a whole presentation on it again. Any further discussion?
And I would just point out that I think that Cindy Young is an excellent person to move into this position with her many, many years of experience here at the Long Beach Unified School District in a variety of areas, particularly with the work she's been doing. This is a great appointment, and I think moving into this area, which is very important going forward, trying to extend our education experiences to those younger than kindergarten, from birth to before kindergarten. So I'm very excited about this.
Indeed, Mr. Otto. Any further discussion? Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes 5-0, Dr. Baker. Now we'll move on to unfinished business. And as we amended our agenda today, that brings us to our community visioning, Dr. Baker.
Great. So really nice to use just a quick opportunity tonight to update the community and do a brief discussion with the board around the work of community visioning. And so I'll call attention to a couple things that you have up your place, the slides, as well as a visioning organizational matrix that I'll want to call your attention to while we're in the presentation. So just want to remind all of us, this work started back in the fall of 2020. We contracted with the Council of Great City Schools to think about ways that in the transition between superintendents and with new board members that we could strengthen the district governance work and governance practices and become very focused on our student outcomes. And so the board has, up to this time, has participated in a self-study of its board governance practices, has worked on the revision that will be coming around the way that we use our board agenda. We've developed a board handbook that solidifies practices and protocols as a governance team. And so we've come to this point to really think about the setting of board goals and what are called guardrails that set the stage for the future in Long Beach Unified. So a significant part of that is the opportunity to listen to the community and to really, as board members, primarily as board members, staff has been out listening as well, but to really listen to the vision of the community as board members and bring that vision into the space of your goals and your guardrails that you set. The information that's being collected will not only be used for the Board of Education goals and guardrails, it will also be used in the district's future strategic plan that we have begun to work on. So as part of this work, 5 in-person meetings were held. You participated in all of them, and also just compliments to our board. As pairs, each of you moved into areas both in your districts as well as in partner districts, so that every area of the district was represented by its board member and another board member. And then we've also deployed an online survey, and I'll tell you a little bit about the data that's coming from those sessions. 3 questions were consistently asked across the sessions as well as in the visioning survey, and I'll just reiterate those questions for public consumption. They were, what are your hopes and dreams for students in LBUSD? What do you want your child to know, or your child or student, if you're representing an organization, students, to know and be able to do at the junctures of 5th, 8th, and 12th grades? And then an important open-ended question, what will bring out the greatness in each LBUSD student? And so what ensued were great discussions and a really good start on data collection that looked something like this. So we to date have had 107. It might have grown in the last few hours, but we've had 107 online responses to those questions. And then we had 65 exit slips for the in-person sessions that were held across the city. And so today we're here, and Dr. Benitez and I are going to just lead into a discussion around this phase of listening. Really important that we don't rush the listening phase. And so while you've heard that we had over 100 responses and 65 participants in person, we know that our listening is not done. So tonight's conversation is reminding all of us these phases from listening. We'll enter into reflecting when we feel like we've done enough listening, which will help us to get to decision making so that the community's vision is part of what you speak to when you set your board goals and guardrails. And so what we'd like to do is just hold a brief conversation tonight about listening and who we've heard from and who we haven't heard from at this point in the conversation, and then just generate some ideas for staff to go back and develop a plan on that we can activate on from the board's vision for how to do a little bit more listening. So Dr. Benitez and I talked about some questions, just really talking about who participated, and I gave you the list of community organizations that we have heard from or that participated. We want to talk about whose voice have we not heard from that would be important, and then just any ideas that you'd like to see activated upon either by you or by staff to get to those in the community that we have not yet heard their perspective about. So Dr. Benitez, I'll turn to you to take it from there. And
thank you, Dr. Baker. I'll just add a couple things, and thank you for the great summary of our process. Just a couple of things to provide some parameters for our discussion around listening. So as Dr. Baker shared, yes, our goal is still to continue listening, but we don't want to indefinitely continue listening. So one of the things that we decided on to begin our listening was to compile a list of key community stakeholders that we would reach out to and invite to these spaces. So I think in our thinking about listening, we should be mindful on who we invited, who hasn't been able to participate and or attend, and who we may have missed, right? And that could be in the form of organizations, our geographies, stakeholders, and or the what groups best represent the students in our district as well. So again, if right now we could sort of have a conversation on the listening part based on who's participated and who we may still need to hear from, so that we can do another round of outreach and extend invitations to folks and be mindful of who we may have missed in our listening session. So I'll open it up to discussion on that, and then we can talk a little bit about what the next step would be as we continue our listening.
I just have a question, a quick question. Did we take attendance at our meetings, and do we know which groups were represented?
That's a great question, and actually Dr. Brown and I had that conversation at Renaissance at one of our community visioning sessions. So we intentionally did not take attendance because we wanted to make sure that the space was safe and to provide confidentiality for those that participated. So the exit slips are actually that we have those folks that voluntarily filled out an exit slip. So in actuality, we had more people in attendance than what we have exit slips for. So we are not taking attendance at this point. But that leads me to another question. Is there a way, Dr. Baker, to confirm for those organizations that we invited? Because again, these are meetings that are open even if you weren't personally invited to attend, to check in to see if we could sort of check off who's participated.
We did, and both those who filled out an exit slip and identified themselves from an organization and those who we could identify from an organization are reflected in this, the handout that you have. So the compilation that you have before you are those organizations that you determined were important to a community vision at the onset of this process. So only about 6 of them have identified themselves, or are we able to identify having participated in the process. So to answer what you're suggesting, or to speak to what you're suggesting, Mrs. Craighead, I think one of the ways that we can continue the visioning is to do a specific outreach, and it may not be going to a meeting, but take one of the groups here. So Centro Cha is an organization that you identified as a group that we want to hear from. We can do an individualized outreach, remind them of how to use the online visioning tool, provide a set that they could actually take to a staff meeting or to a community meeting that they're holding, even if it doesn't involve a board member or a staff member going specifically to one of their sessions. So that's an idea that we've been talking about that we'd like to activate on as one idea.
In addition, Dr. Baker, and we spoke about this as well, we all have the script. We have the 3 questions. So if we're able to attend any of the standing meetings of these groups, that we can also go and take notes and bring that back.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah.
Well, one of the groups that I thought about most recently because of my attendance to Kinderfest was our new parents, or our newly introduced parents to the district. As I was creating our list, obviously I thought about age-appropriate demographics, and I obviously thought about our people of different ethnicities, but I didn't think about our newest parents that are going to be introduced to the district. And I know there, as also being one of the new parents being introduced to the district, I know that there were hundreds of people that showed us. It was one of our largest attended events to date, and I think that they would be very much interested and passionate about these questions here, as they are going to directly influence their littles for the future. So I think that posing this question back to those newly introduced Long Beach Unified School District parents would be an important demographic to get a response from.
Mr. Miller, thank you for that. I think that's a great suggestion, and it got me thinking about our communications and community engagement guru, in here. So just an open-ended question, and I'm joking, Justin. Can we do a more individualized outreach to those folks that we haven't either heard from or participated? And here I'm thinking more beyond, not to minimize or trivialize this, like an email invitation, right? So can we do a more targeted, individualized invitation? And I think I'm hearing sort of multiple options, right? One is to participate in our online format. Another is to identify potential events, activities that we could attend. And a third might be if they are having one of their own meetings, right, that we could find out, what's happening, let's say in the next month and a half, 2 months, and then divide those up amongst ourselves if we're able to attend. Colleagues, what do you think?
Yeah, I may need to apologize because I didn't get a list of who we successfully reached out to. It may have been in the report that we got. I just got it now.
How did I get it?
It was at each person's place. It just may have been pushed to the side, or it was updated as of this morning.
I had it with our slide, our PowerPoint slide.
Yeah, I got the 4-pager, but not this. But at any rate, I was going to apologize because I thought maybe it had come with the report yesterday, but we got that as we walked into the meeting, and so I didn't. And by the way, Mr. Suarez did a great job of summarizing all of the responses at the 5 meetings, but I didn't have any comparison of those that we tried to reach out to and who showed up and who didn't. But this is. Community engagement is a subject that Mr. Benitez certainly knows a lot about because it's his job in many ways. But well, maybe I'm assuming something, but
no. And I think we talked a lot about that in the communications presentation, right? That it's not just something where we can send out and do outreach to, that it takes place over time, right? It's relational. So it's going back to those partners that we have relationships with and just kind of ensuring, can you send someone or multiple folks from your organization and or for the populations that you serve and work with, right? That represent that stakeholder group. So that's the nuance, I think, to just having, of course, and anyone can attend, but an open invitation versus an individualized partner invitation that as we go through more of this process, those stakeholders feel vested in it. And I think part of it is that at this point, not a lot of folks know still what this community visioning is. Right. Even folks that showed up, one of the things that stood up from one of the visioning meetings that was shared at the one that Dr. Brown and Mr. Otto were, is can we identify student spaces, right, to make sure that we have students participate in this. So it's those kinds of things that then translate back to who we are engaging and how we are engaging those groups.
Yeah, and let me give you an example. When Robert Garcia was elected mayor of Long Beach, he said what he wanted to do right away was community engagement somehow, and he said, how can I do that? We've got so many commissions and committees that are half full. Why don't we fill them up with people, and not only fill them up with people, but fill them up with people that ordinarily haven't been on those kinds of commissions. And he did that, and what he did immediately was create a whole bunch of people that were involved, were engaged. And I use that as an example, not because we've got a bunch of committees and commissions that we can put people on, but that what it takes is to touch people. I'm seeing some emails that are disconcerting to me about people saying, oh, it's just the same old stuff. I noticed at the meetings that I went to that sometimes the same people showed up at more than one meeting. So the question is, how do you engage people? It's a question of working with them and finding ways to get them, because what we're really interested in is getting as much input as we possibly can in an honest and sincere way so that as we move forward to our strategic planning process, as we move forward to what is it that people think the district can and should do, that people feel both comfortable and empowered to participate in that. And those are terms of art when it comes to doing this. And we just have to think a little harder on it. And the good news is we're not done. We've now had an opportunity to learn from what it is that we've done, and we've gotten a lot of responses. When I looked at what Mr. Suarez had done, I thought he probably hasn't slept for a week trying to summarize all that stuff. But it's more than a beginning, but it's not enough yet, because we need to feel that we've gotten to where people really are in the district.
Thank you, Mr. Otto. I just want to remind our colleagues, so we did identify and we're implementing a three-pronged community engagement strategy. One was to identify district spaces, right? DLAC meetings, CAC meetings. The second was to create our own spaces, and those were our visioning sessions that would invite stakeholders to. And the third, and I think this is an important part of our listening right now, was for us to attend meeting spaces that may have already been having standing meetings and or events that the district wasn't hosting. All right, so I still think we are in that phase, but I think we have to double down on identifying who haven't we heard from, and then do that individual engagement with those partners.
Yeah, that's a great summary. And actually, as I look down at the notes that I took, it covers, the ideas cover all three of those areas. One suggestion I might have is from the organizations list, rather than just another staff outreach. So all these organizations, we have had multiple outreach. We have done multiple outreach to. I'm thinking of those remaining, if they were divided by 5, and then each of you had a group of 5 that you then were responsible for either going to their organization, doing a phone conversation with them, then it would lighten the load across you, and then we can focus, staff can focus on district meetings, either providing the online survey or doing an activity within a district meeting, reissuing the district link for the visioning survey, and we're focusing on newly enrolled parents and seeing how our research office may be able to help us make contact with newly enrolled parents.
Jill, it sounds like you're assigning homework.
I'm assigning you homework this time. You're not assigning me homework.
Right.
Did we see a yes nod from you, Mr. Miller?
I'm ready. We heard from our friend Jackson, who talked about the improvement of, no, I'm kidding. No, I think that's a great suggestion there.
Yeah, so if we could just divide them up, Dr. Baker, and then we'll do our individual outreach to them, and then figure out coordination, whether we're attending one of their events and what that's going to look like.
Great, and then we'll expand to our entire team to work with their standing meetings, their district meetings, and using the survey or the questions to enhance the data that we're getting. It's great.
Ms. Craighead?
Yes, I think you mentioned engaging with our high school students a little bit more, and I'm thinking maybe we could tailor the questions towards the high school students. Maybe we don't need the question about what does your student need to know by 5th grade, 8th grade, and 12th grade, but how can we enhance the greatness of each student? I'm sure our students have ideas on how we can do that for them, and that might be a way of getting more feedback if we simplify the questions for them, tailor it to high school students, and then make a targeted outreach.
And actually not just high school students, but tomorrow Mr. Suarez and I actually in my superintendent student advisory will be testing out some student-facing questions. But I also know that Mr. Moskovitz and his team have an elementary student advisory. The high schools and other schools have their individualized. So we'll test some questions out and then think about ways that we can, in the next 4 to 6 weeks, ask students the questions as well. That's a great idea.
So I'm going to push us a little bit because we did put a pause on this. I'm going to say that we put a time frame. I like that 4 to 6 weeks, Dr. Baker. That way, if we need to start making calls like next week, given that April's right around the corner, then we go into spring break, and it might be tougher to coordinate these conversations. So if you could divide up that list, then we can start making those calls, if not this week, at the latest next week, and start coordinating with the respective offices. I think we have one more slide, right, Dr. Baker, on the presentation?
So just Just as a reminder, just sitting in this listening phase, but what we'll be heading into is after our 4 to 6 week commitment, then we'll come back. There will be an opportunity for the board to look at the data. We have our contract with Council of Great City Schools will allow them to actually do some analysis and some combining, looking at themes and trends, and really sitting with that data set along with an executive summary of it that will be done by the Council of Great City Schools that will then allow the board to think about its goals and guardrails and make some decisions about those goals and guardrails with that data in mind.
Thank you. And the work that Mr. Suarez has been spending sleepless nights on, want to remind folks that that will all be made a public document. So the raw notes from all of the meetings as is will be public, right? And then based on that, we'll do the organizing of the themes.
Yes, and just to put a timeline to it, we're aiming before the end of June to have all 3 of these phases completed and ready to go for next year.
So I'll say it since I'm on the mic here, Mr. Suarez. lbschools.net/visioning is where we can do the online input. Is there, not to put you on the spot, Mr. Suarez, but you stood up. If folks are either having challenges accessing the portal and or would like to provide their input in another fashion, what do we suggest, Mr. Suarez?
Give them Juan's home phone number.
Yeah. I think that would be great, right? Given the accessibility challenges that we've been hearing about and discussing, that if we could provide another opportunity for folks beyond the online portal. I will work with Mr. Grayson. Thank you. In multiple languages, of course, right, Mr. Suarez? Okay, thank you. So anything else to close out that part of it, Dr. Baker? Okay, thank you, colleagues.
Well, just one little suggestion. Maybe if we had a script for our phone calls or something, so that our messaging is, you know what I mean, consistent.
I was just going to say, Board Member Craighead wants to meet with you on my calls. She just wants to know where she needs to show up to and what time. Great idea, Ms. Craighead. Anything else, colleagues? Okay, we're looking forward to that additional part of the listening. So that moves us into new business. Mr. Zaid, could you provide a California Schools Employee Association fact-finding update for us?
Sure. The district and CSEA are both waiting for the fact-finding chair to issue his report. We were notified that the report isn't just ready just yet, but we anticipate it within the next week or so. And so we would like this item to be listed for action at the next board meeting.
And the action would be what, Mr. Zaid, at that point?
The action would be to move forward with the recommendations that are in the report once we have an opportunity to review it.
Excellent. Any other questions? Okay, thank you for the update. So just let us know when we get that report, Mr. Zaid. Next item is our second interim financial report for 2021-22. Ms. Takahashi?
Sure, I'd be happy to provide some highlights from the second interim financial report. This is our second formal review of revenues and expenditures for 21-22, and this report is a result of hundreds of hours on the part of our fiscal staff. They analyze about approximately 100,000 budget lines to arrive at our expenditure estimates. They look at trends. They incorporate the latest from the Department of Finance in terms of planning assumptions. So this is very methodical work. It's very painstaking work, and we're just so grateful to the fiscal staff for the dedicated work that they do. We are recommending a positive certification, which means that the district certifies that it can meet its financial obligations for this year and for the 2 subsequent years. So on the revenue side, we're projecting $1.1 billion in general fund. 781.3 million of that on the unrestricted side. We've incorporated a cost of living adjustment of 5.0% and the governor's planning assumptions for the out years. But COLA doesn't tell the full revenue picture. We're showing a continuing trend of enrollment decline. This year we saw enrollment decline of 2.65%, so we're projecting that will continue into the out years. This year, attendance has been particularly concerning. We're projecting 87.7% attendance rate. This is lower than we saw at the first interim of 92%, and our usual trend has been approximately 95 to 96%. That 87.7% is really as a result of the really low attendance that we saw in comparison in January and February due to the Omicron variant. The governor has proposed a new model for funding that allows us to use the average daily attendance for the past 3 years, which will soften the impact of this year's ADA in the short term, but we're really hoping for just a complete hold harmless for the attendance this year, but that was not proposed. Also of note on the revenue side is our supplemental and concentration grant funding. A 63% unduplicated pupil percentage. So our unduplicated students are our economically disadvantaged, our English language learners, students, our foster and homeless youth students. That percentage we had projected at 65% for the first interim, and we're now projecting 63%. Of note is the concentration grant funding. The threshold for concentration grant funding is 55%. We receive a substantial amount of funding for every student above 55%. So this trend is particularly concerning to us and something that we'll be watching very closely. On the expenditure side, we're projecting $734.8 million of expenditures. This is lower by $17 million as shown in the first interim, and this is due to vacancies and a delay of capital projects. Our expenditure estimates do not include settlements with CSEA for years 1920, 2021, or with TALB and CSEA for 21-22 for this year. Our ending balance, we are projecting for this year of $365 million, but we are projecting a drawing down of these balances next year by $12.3 million, $30 million in 23-24, and $70 million in 24-25, and we show that compounding effect continuing. Again, these balances do not include settlements with CSEA for 1920 and 2021, and with TALB and CSEA for 21-22, which will increase the drawing down of our balances. So what our balances really represent for us is time to make thoughtful budget decisions to address our deficit spending and bring our budget into balance. Our budget is constantly evolving. We will receive new revenue estimates with the May revision, and so we will be back to you very shortly with any updates that we have.
So do we need a motion to adopt the interim financial report?
Yes, we'd like for you to adopt it.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion.
Just one question, and maybe it's an unfair question, but do you have any sense of where we are in the negotiations to give us what ballpark, if the negotiations end without putting in actual numbers, what that will do to our reports? That wasn't very well said.
What I can say is, without disclosing what is happening in negotiation, is that for every 1% of salary increase for all units, it's approximately $6.2 million. That's what I can disclose at this time.
So, Ms. Takahashi, thank you for that. Notwithstanding negotiations, right, and not to pretend that that's not going on, but I see 4 other big aspects to the challenges that we're going to have in terms of our budget. Not in order of priority, but just in order of where we would look for these in our budget. The first is our overall enrollments decline, right? But as a part of that, our attendance as well right? And because we've had such a challenging January and February, that's impacting us in ways that we didn't anticipate even 6 months ago, and in ways that we, quite frankly, can't predict, right, without another hold harmless or some change to ADA. Third, our unduplicated student count, and you hit the mark with, we're very close at 63%. That's a 4% decline to that 55% to receive our concentration funding. And then the other aspect of this is that we're also not anticipating, again, it could happen, but we're not expecting the amount of one-time funding that we got for this year and then, that we have to spend out in the next 2 years. So I think it's important for us to understand not just the funding that we receive, right, but that there are structural reasons for our enrollment decline, particularly amongst our unduplicated students who are our socioeconomically disadvantaged students, our foster students, and our emerging bilinguals, our English learners, because those students live in very specific areas of our school district and attend very specific neighborhood schools in our district. So I want to be very, very mindful that our enrollment decline has a very, very close relationship to the funding that we received, not just in general, but specifically for our unduplicated students. I oftentimes, will say 2/3 of our students are on free reduced lunch. Well, those two-thirds of our students are the ones that are most impacted, right? And those schools are the ones that are most impacted by the decline in their enrollment rates.
I'd like to make two other points really. One is that it's easy to forget that these, not the enrollment and unduplicated students and attendance and all that, that's not cyclical necessarily. But what happens with the monies that we have is cyclical. And we have been through a very boom period of a lot of one-time money from the feds and the state, and we know for sure that that's going to go away. I don't think the state can win its own lottery, so there's no answer. We're not going to get out of it that way. But with the numbers that we have, I'm looking ahead in 2 years, 3 years, and what that's going to mean. And I think back at other times for Long Beach Unified School District when all of a sudden what looked like we were flush became relatively quickly that we were not only not flush, but we were looking at possible layoffs. We were looking at decrease in funding in a lot of areas, and I may just be getting old, and that I'm particularly sensitive to those kinds of things. But these trends, these cycles, I should say, are coming up inevitably, and we have to be very careful on the way on the money that we get and how we spend that money. So,
any other questions or comments? So I believe we do need a motion, unless you wanted to add a question or a comment, Ms. Craighead.
No, I was just going to move approval.
I think we need a motion.
We have a motion.
Oh, we do?
We have a motion?
Who seconded?
Eric.
Okay. I did. Shows you where I'm at, Mr. Miller. So then we need a vote, unless you have more discussion, Ms. Craighead.
No, I'll vote.
Okay. I love the way you just turn on your mic. Let's vote. So all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? So that passes 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Takahashi. Next item is Resolution 031622-B, authorizing Chief Business and Financial Officer to compensate some board member Benitez guy for absence at a board meeting.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I will abstain from that vote. So that passes 4-0 with one abstention. Report of board members. Mr. Otto, start us off.
Well, I will. I will be brief because it's gotten so late tonight with this meeting, but I really want to thank and congratulate the staff for the 2 days of workshops that we've had. I think I said to our superintendent that I'm finally beginning to feel like I'm on the board. I now get into the elevator and don't turn to the right to push the buttons because they're on the left, and I've now figured that out. It's only taken a year, but there's a lot that we got presented that I'm understanding. I think I told Dr. Carl that I was grateful that she didn't let me ask a lot of questions a couple of weeks ago about pathways, because I was going to learn about them in the workshops, and by God I did, or at least I began to learn. But the presentations were extraordinary. There was a lot of information. It was a good visioning for where it is that we're going as a district, where we are right now. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of passion by our employees, and I think just good feelings about what we do and how it is that we're doing it. I've had occasion to look at other districts through some other things that I'm involved in, and I'm just very, very grateful and impressed for all the hard work that we do and the quality of that work. So it's just a general thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Otto. Mr. Miller.
Two will be brief, and I actually co-sign on those sentiments here, as I was really impressed. I shared this in closed session, but I'll share it here publicly. Not only do I feel more informed, but I could clearly see the cohesiveness of this team, and under Jill's leadership, it's just really, really appreciative. I'm really, really appreciative of all of your efforts. With that said, I only have one small thing I wanted to share, and that is the Mr. Jackrabbit pageant's coming up, right? And so it was postponed a couple of months ago, sadly, due to the spreading of the Omicron variant, but it's back on April 13th. So anyone who's able to be in attendance, I wanted to extend an invitation, because I know that not only is the campus buzzing with excitement about it, but heck, so am I.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Ms. Kerr.
Yeah, I'll be brief as well. Thank you to staff, not just for the workshop, but for those of you who've been doing the work behind the scenes for the community visioning sessions that we've had over the last couple of weeks. Many of you have come in the evenings on Saturdays to continue to support the work of the board and to continue to support students and families in our community. So thank you for doing that. I just want to shout out, we talk a lot about community partners, and as we're starting to have in-person events again, I got to go to the Assistance League's Cameo Fashion Show on Saturday. And the Assistance League does so much behind the scenes for the families and youth of this community, from their orthodontics program to their rickrackers who provide 10,000 uniforms or 20,000 uniforms. Can't even keep count anymore for students in this district. And the Cameo program is a mentorship program for high school youth. And so it was a great event on Saturday. I got the opportunity to speak to two young women who are participating in the program, one from Sato and one from Jordan High School. So just a shout out to all of those who continue to support in ways that we don't always see and recognize, but the Assistance League has been there consistently for decades, and just wanted to thank them for that.
Thank you, Ms. Kerr. Ms. Craighead?
Yes, I would also like to thank our staff, and so I will give the gift of brevity this evening. It is wonderful to be back in person. I had an opportunity to attend the Pass and Review at Lakewood High School, so congratulations to Captain McMacken and the cadets. They did a fabulous job. Dr. Brown was there also, and it was just wonderful. 2 years ago, it was the last event I attended before we closed schools, and this year it was wonderful to be back in person with them. And then also, thank you to our Buffum staff and Principal Danielle Wright for the invitation and the opportunity to spend a little bit of quality time with the kids at Buffum. I had an opportunity to read to them, also Mr. Otto, also Dr. Baker, and it was just delightful to be in person with our little kiddos, and they're precious, and thank you again, and always keep me in mind for that.
Thank you, Ms. Craighead. So I also co-sign on all the appreciation and thank yous that my colleagues have shared for all the presenters. I'll just share three things that stood out for me in the last 2 days. One is an appreciation for the format that all the presenters used. It was a lot of information, so just the thoughtful and creative way that we received and that the information was shared with us, I think is important, and I think it's a good what's the word I'm looking for? It's a good model to use for future presentations. Second, I really did enjoy having the folks that are actually implementing these things, presenting and sharing their sort of on-the-ground experiences with us. So I guess it's an open invitation for future presentations. Please invite your teams, case studies, pilots. It's important for us and our community members to hear from the folks that are actually implementing many of the sort of bigger picture policies and programs discussions that we engage in here at our school board meetings. And the last is really that we are still thinking about a balance between presentations, information, and then us as a board being able to have discussions and enough time to ask questions. I think there are some opportunities here, right, to balance those presentations with also community engagement, and to also provide other opportunities for us to leverage these conversations to future meetings. So I think that's also in alignment with the community visioning process that we're using. I'm looking forward to our board agendas reflecting more student outcomes-based framings, and an invitation to our executive staff that as you're thinking about presentations to the board, that we sort of reimagine how we use our workshop space. I love the setup that we had here the last 2 days, and that we bring elements of that to our board meetings, because I think it's important for us as board members and for our community members that may not have been able to watch those board workshops, that there's a lot of information there, but I think a lot of those conversations can be ones that we as board members engage with, not just ourselves, but with our executive team here, particularly around budget engagement time, LCAP time, and all the other wonderful opportunities for us to, do these things beyond our board workshops. So thank you to the team. Thank you, Dr. Baker, for your vision of those workshops. So that's my report, superintendent's report.
I'll just build on that for a moment. When I was thinking about the workshop, we heard from students, teachers, administrators, counselors, and you all can help me. I think we heard from either student, teacher, admin, or counselor from Lakewood High School, Wilson High School, Pauley High School, Milliken High School, Whittier Elementary, Jefferson Middle School, Hamilton Middle School. Was there anyone that I missed? School staff. That's really nice. Among students, teachers, admins, and counselors, among the presentations, really nice to have representation from those 7 different buildings to talk about their work, which also, when I think of your role as board and carrying the vision as board members, a great opportunity as you're visiting schools from what you heard over the last couple of days to take your questions and look at what it looks like out in the field. If you're visiting an elementary school, ask about their literacy program and the acceleration work that they're doing. Ask middle schools about their master scheduling and how that's impacting students. Ask high schools to tell you more, to see their pathways. So it's also a great mindset for you to take out into the community and feel like you have informed ways of asking questions. And so I'll end just with a celebration. Thank you, Mr. Zaid and team, and Dr. On, who held the third annual recruitment night, an in-person, a virtual, and then an in-person with more than 500 people showing interest in coming to Long Beach Unified. And so we're grateful for their leadership of that, for the relationships that are built through an event like that, through you all supporting it, and just look forward to in any places that we have vacancies, whether they're a special contract or long-term positions. It's really important work that HR and our Equity Leadership Talent Development Team has done to share the good work that happens in Long Beach and attract the best to what we do. So I'll end on that note. Thank you for a great couple of days.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. Any announcements?
Real quick, I'm sorry. Not an announcement, just a thank you. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I'm a graduate of Leadership Long Beach. I got to host Education Day through Leadership Long Beach, and I got the support of both Dr. Brown and Dr. Baker and Dr. Romant over at Browning High School. So I just wanted to thank you guys publicly. Appreciate it.
Great.
Yeah, so this Saturday, or no, not this Saturday, Saturday, March 26th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Dooley Elementary School, Central Cha, in support of other agencies, are doing a Spring Festival, which is a free youth and family vaccination clinic and boost and resource fair. So there's music, activities, and more vaccinations and booster shots available for folks 5+. So again, that's at Dooley Elementary on the 26th from 9 to noon. Look for a flyer in Peach Jar or something like that, but a great opportunity. Thank you to Central Cha.
Ms. Craighead.
Yes, next Thursday, March 24th, I think it is, 6 p.m. at the JCC art show of our middle school and high school artists. That's always wonderful. I'm always very impressed by the level of artwork of our kids. So come on out. And I think it's on display for a little bit after that, but it's always an exciting night because, well, for one thing, there's refreshments, and I'm kind of thinking of that right now. But also, right? But it's more of the students are there. It's late. Thank you.
What kind of refreshments, Ms. Craighead?
Usually cookies or cheese and crackers.
Cool. Any other announcements? Thank you. In that case, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Wow, not all at once. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.